Josh Whitman, our guest here as we recap 2022 and 2023. 7.5 years ago, Josh, we stood somewhere over there and you said we will win. As you reflect on that in your three highest profile sports, football, men's and women's basketball, they've had success. How do you reflect on that, and how do you keep them at this level of success that they're at?
Really proud of where we stand now. We're one of 14 schools in the country to be able to put football, men's basketball, women's basketball all into the postseason during this most recent year. Of course, 7.5 years ago, we were 0 for 3 in that bucket, and so to be able to make that kind of progress, I think, really demonstrates where we've gone from and where we want to go. And now it's really critical for us. Of course, we didn't have the success in the postseason that any of us would like, and so to take that next step and make sure that we're putting the program in a position to not only push into the postseason, but to make a deep run is the next objective for us.
You mentioned that NCAA tournament. Everyone wants that for Illinois basketball. The success has been there in the regular season. What conversations have you had with Brad about that and getting a winner come March?
I think for us, it's understanding what the NCAA tournament is and making sure that we continue to get access to the tournament. We perform as well during the regular season as we can to give ourselves the highest seed possible to improve our odds of making a run. The tournament's a challenging environment. You can catch a night where a team that clearly is not a better team than you beats you. It happens every year in the tournament. It's what makes the tournament great. We just haven't found our moment yet, but I'm confident that as we continue to perform in the regular season, get a great seed, get into the tournament, that year's out there for us, and we're looking forward to making a deep run here soon.
On the women's side, what stands out to you about Shauna and what she was able to do more than just getting Illinois to the tournament, a place that had not been in 20-plus years?
There's nothing about Shauna that doesn't impress me. She has done such a fantastic job of bringing strong vision, leadership to that program, and to be able to do what we did in her first year, I think speaks volumes about her capacity as a leader and what's possible here at the University of Illinois with our women's basketball program. And so now with that core group of players coming back, a great staff in place, I think our fans are energized around that program, and so really looking forward to an exciting year this year and hopefully large crowds and a lot of success in women's basketball during the 23-24 year.
We are 2 years into this new landscape we all call NIL. It has completely transformed everything and made your world good in some instances and probably bad in some instances. What are your biggest takeaways now 2 years into this, and what needs to change from your eyes? It's been pretty good for the athletes, I would assume. They're making some money. But from your end of things, what needs to change to make this more regulated, or how do you look at that?
I think that President Baker, the new president of the NCAA, has some really interesting ideas around what he has termed consumer protections for our student athletes, looking at a standardized contract, looking at agent regulation, and then looking at some level of public disclosure around what these agreements look like. I think that's an important first step. I think that, as you said, name, image, likeness has been great for the athletes. It's long overdue. It provides them an opportunity to monetize their celebrity. I do think that in some cases there have been some unintended consequences, perhaps predictable, but unintended consequences that have followed. And so how can we put some of that back into the basket, so to speak, and maybe recreate some of the opportunities that exist for student athlete benefits? I think really holds the long-term future of college sports and puts NIL back in the bucket that perhaps it was originally intended.
What are the biggest legal issues for you guys that you guys face or the athletes and putting that all together? Because you said putting some things back in. Once the toothpaste is out of the tube, it's a lot of times hard to put it back in there, so to speak.
It is, and it certainly can be. I think that we don't face a lot of issues legally specific to Illinois athletics, but across the country there are a lot of different fronts that are evolving very quickly right now. There are lawsuits pending both on the East and the West Coast. There's some administrative law actions with the National Labor Relations Board involving USC and the Pac-12. There's some legislative things that are happening in California that would involve some revenue sharing with student athletes, and then of course there's some ongoing efforts in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill. And so all those things together certainly seem to be coalescing around some of these different concepts relative in particular to student athlete compensation and sharing resources more directly with the student athletes than we have to date and than we've been allowed to under NCAA rules. And so how that all gets reshaped, I think, will dictate a lot of what college athletics looks like going forward.
And it seems like we can't have the NIL without the transfer portal. If you could change one or two things with the portal, what would it be, Josh?
I think the portal has largely been successful. I think it's trying to be a little more thoughtful in when and how the portal is activated. For example, the fact that the portal is open during the NCAA tournament for basketball right now, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. I think that December for our football coaches has become almost unbearable. You have the portal that opens, you've got early signing day, you've got bowl preparation, you've got coaching changes happening, you've got the end of the regular season. So there's a lot of things that are coming to a head at the same time, and what can we do to try and modify that calendar to provide for some more stability and life balance for the people who are working in that space. So there's a couple things there that I think can be done better. I think just trying to be more thoughtful in our overall approach and the timing relative to the transfer portal would go a long way.
All of these things combined with COVID, it's been 3 years now in that sense. Seems in one way a long time ago, in another way I'm sure in your world not that long ago. Do you feel like the athletic department is healthy in that sense, rebounding from COVID, both financially, stability with you guys, and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis?
I do. I feel like we've largely now put COVID in the rearview mirror, which is exciting for everybody. We still have a few athletes who are working on some of those extended years of eligibility. We still have some financial pieces to that we're working through with the university. But overall, we're at a really healthy place now. We've put people back in the buildings. They're coming in larger numbers than they have in a long time, both for football, men's basketball now, including women's basketball as well. And I think it's an exciting time to be a part of this program, and it feels good to be able to kind of step out and see some of these successes that have come from years of effort on a lot of different people's part.
Just circle back to NIL real quick here. What's the balance that you see from a donor possibly wanting to invest in a facility like this at Demersion Park versus giving to a collective like the Guardians or Icon? What's the balance there from your end of how you see that money being distributed?
I think ultimately we trust our donors to make informed decisions about what gets them most excited. And so very rarely do we really push donors for a particular project. We're going to inform them. We're going to answer their questions. We're going to listen to them and try and understand what they value, what's important to them. And ultimately we're going to support them as they make their investments in our program. And so it's certainly another very notable item on the menu that was there 5 years ago. And in some cases, people have gotten really excited about that. We've had some people become involved in supporting Illinois athletics who weren't at all previously because they really like the idea of name, image, likeness. And we have some people who have made very clear that they don't want anything to do with name, image, likeness, and they'd rather support projects like this. And we try and do our best to listen and react accordingly based on what they're expressing to us.
I know you'd love to renovate Memorial Stadium there on the south end. $200 million is what you told us last year. That money doesn't just grow on trees. What things are you guys doing, especially to the west side here, that fans are going to notice this fall?
Well, on the east side,
east side.
Yeah, we'll be doing some things there, some of which our fans hopefully noticed last year. We've got a lot of infrastructure upgrades there. We've polished the concrete floors. We put new televisions in the concourses. We now have painted some of the superstructure. We have new restroom facilities along that east side in terms of some of the fixtures inside those rooms. We've got new food trucks on the east side. Across the stadium, our fans will now see up to 50 new points of sale from our concession stands. We'll be debuting some new walk-through markets in both the east and west as well as the south areas as well. So there's a lot of different things that we're trying to do there that will make our fan experience better. We opened up all the windows on the east side to allow some natural light in there. It really brightens the East Great Hall, and so hopefully our fans will see that, sense it, and embrace that as they head in for this football season.
What are the biggest challenges, I guess you could say, or excitements of getting USC and UCLA into the Big Ten? The schedules came out for football and the opponents. Where do you see that laying here in the next year? Because I know there's still a lot of work to do there, isn't there?
There is. I think it's a great opportunity for us to continue to solidify our position as the strongest football conference in America. We're incredibly proud of the schools that are part of the Big Ten. I think adding schools like USC and UCLA with their tradition, not only in football but in all of their sports, only helps to raise the reputation and profile of the Big Ten Conference. It's a great challenge for us. It's going to be a great challenge for them. The Big Ten is full of incredible programs, and it's a great chance for us to prove ourselves against the best, and that's what people come to the University of Illinois to do. They come here to compete against the best, and we've promised them that opportunity, and they're going to get it.
What are your initial conversations with new Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti like?
He's been tremendous. I have a lot of respect for Tony. He brings a lot of interesting background and experience to the table. He's very progressive in his thinking. He's very decisive. He likes to ask hard questions, creative, intelligent, and just really excited about his leadership and where the Big Ten is headed.
A lot of people turned out to watch IHSA basketball there at State Farm Center this year. Were you surprised by that number? And what does that mean going forward as you guys get that tournament back here? It was here a long time ago. Now you guys have it back.
It's been a great partnership. We really value the relationship we have with the IHSA. It was important to us in making the effort to return the tournament to State Farm Center that we over-delivered on the promises that we had made, and I think that this year certainly demonstrated that, just the turnout, the appetite, the excitement in our community, and now we have to continue to push that narrative forward and make sure that our partners around town share in that excitement, and that we never take that tournament for granted, because it's a great privilege to have it here, and we're excited for it to call us home for years to come.
Last question. I know this environment here with the media usually means you get some vacation time. You going anywhere? You going to do anything fun?
We're headed up to Michigan next week.
Good.
So we've got two little kids who don't know the difference between Lake Michigan or the Mediterranean Sea. And so when they say they want to go to the beach, we're choosing the 3-hour drive instead of the 6-hour flight. So it'll be good. We'll get up there and enjoy some lake time and get our kids out on the beach a little bit. So it should be a fun time.
Josh, thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Yep.